here. It is your MMA Connection. Eric O'Brien, along with Mike Allen, Paul Cicchini, and Ken Evans. It's been a rough week in the world of mixed martial arts with the loss of Shawn Tompkins. Joining us on the line right now, one of his dearest friends, Mike Straka. Mike, how are you?
Hey, Eric. How are you?
I'm good, man. I know this is a really, really rough week for you, so I appreciate you taking some time out to talk a little bit.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Eric. I do.
Let's start with the book, The Fighting Words. We've talked about it. If people have not had a chance to kind of delve into the world of mixed martial arts and are just becoming into it, I will tell you this. There are two guys that I really think you should read their books, and Mike, yours is certainly one of them. It's one of the most insightful interview books I think I've ever read in the sport, and I cannot wait. I know we talked 2 weeks ago about you making another book, and I really cannot wait for that to happen.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, as we talked about earlier, I'm in a unique spot where I've been around the sport long enough that the fighters trust me. You know, there used to be a time where I would have to ask to get an interview, and nowadays, you know, I got guys, especially young guys and young up and coming great fighters, guys like Chad Mendez or Joe Benavidez, and they'll come up and say, "Hey, Mike, when are you going to interview me on your show?" And I think that, you know, and then I looked at him and I said, "You better win a couple more fights, son." You know, but yeah, it's you know, it's a great position to be in. I love MMA. I love the UFC. I love Bellator. I really love what I do, and I'm a very fortunate guy. I left Fox News Channel in March 2010 to pursue MMA full time, and I will never look back. I don't want to cover another political event, another Tea Party for the rest of my life.
And for those of you who are wondering, the other one who I think you should absolutely read is Sam Sheridan, if you're not into MMA yet. Those are the two, Mike Straka and Sam Sheridan. And then the other guy who I think does amazing interviews for the UFC would be Joe Rogan. So the three of you, I think, combined really cover the sport fantastically. Let's...
And I'll tell you, Sam Sheridan is in a movie that's coming out September 9th. It's called Warrior.
Mike, have you seen it?
I've seen it twice, and one of the best movies I have ever seen. And in fact, if you go to tapout.com, there's a video up there called, you know, Warrior Reaction. And I went to a screening in Philadelphia, and I interviewed a bunch of fighters after the movie, and they all said the same thing. Finally, Hollywood got it right. And the director, Gavin O'Connor, he knew Mask very well, the late Charles Mask Lewis Jr., who founded Tap Out. And Mask was the consultant on the movie. In fact, Gavin O'Connor, the director, plays a role. He plays the Dana White of the film. And originally that was going to be Mask's role before he died in that car accident. And I'll tell you, this movie is perhaps Rocky meets Raging Bull. I mean, that's how good it is.
Wow.
It's amazing. And I guarantee you, and I mean this, and this is a very bold prediction, Nick Nolte will win an Oscar, and Tom Hardy will be nominated for an Oscar.
Wow, I'm very excited. I'm supposed to see it this week, so I'm very, very excited about that. Speaking of this week, your friend and our friend in the MMA community, I only had the opportunity to meet Shawn once, and it was an amazing opportunity. I got to train in Vegas for a day. Let's talk about Shawn's life and kind of what his impact has been on the world of mixed martial arts.
Shawn is a guy who, he died way too soon. He was a guy who loved life, and I've known Shawn for almost 10 years, and he was one of my dearest friends in MMA. And, you know, it's funny, and I wrote an obit for Shawn, and I always say, when people ask me what I love about being in MMA, and I always say it's the dedication of the athletes. It's the athleticism and the heart that the athletes have. But then after Shawn died, you know, there's another aspect to why I love MMA. It's because we're one big family. We really are. And Shawn was part of that family. Not only was he part of that family, but he was a leader in that family. And Shawn was, I can't say enough good things about him. A family guy. He loved his wife more than anybody in the world. He loved his fighter. He discovered Sam Stout, who, by the way, was his brother-in-law, when Sam was 16 years old, and Shawn tried being an MMA fighter. Shawn was a kickboxing champion in Canada. He did MMA, and he failed at it. He lost. He went 0 for 4. And, you know, being a kickboxer, if you're not a wrestler, especially a Canadian who doesn't even have a wrestling background like we do here in America,
right?
You know, he didn't do well in MMA, but he knew striking. And he really came into MMA when there were one-dimensional fighters. Like Matt Hughes told me in my book, Mike, I was a wrestler who was strong, and I could take a shot, and I will take you down, and then once I got you down, I will beat you up until you quit. But you can't do that anymore. You got guys like Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard and George St. Pierre, and these guys are just well-rounded individuals who can do jiu-jitsu, who can wrestle, and who are great strikers. But Shawn Tompkins, he was the guy who brought striking to the wrestlers. You know, for a long, long time, he was Randy Couture's striking coach. In fact, if you go back and watch Randy Couture versus Tim Sylvia, when Randy came out of retirement, he did a leg kick, and he followed up with an overhand right, and he knocked Tim Sylvia clear across the octagon. That's a patented Shawn Tompkins move. Shawn Tompkins taught him that move. And you know, this is a guy who was around for a long, long time, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful person. And I'm speaking at his funeral on Friday, and I have no idea what I'm going to say yet. So I'm trying to work that out in my head because, you know, it's very difficult for me. He was a very, very good friend of mine.
And I appreciate you talking about that. I can't imagine how tough it was for you and for everybody who's connected. Our hearts and prayers go out. And there is a fund that people can donate to, right, Mike?
That's right. If you go to tapoutlasvegas.com, you'll see there's a link there. And Serena and Kate Koa, they're a married couple. Quip Holter is their last name. They own the Tap Out Las Vegas gym. And that's where Shawn really was. He was the main instructor for kids and for pros. I mean, he had Sam Stout, Mark Hominick, Chris Horodetsky. For a long time, Vitor Belfort was in there training. So, you know, Shawn, he touched a lot of people, not just professional fighters, but he loved the kids' classes. I mean, he loved being in front of the kids. He loved teaching them, and he also loved lecturing them what's right and what's wrong in life. And if you watched the way he touched people, he should have been a bigger star than what he was. He was a big star in the MMA world, but Shawn Tompkins could have been a huge star even outside of MMA because he touched people. He lit up every single room he walked into. He lit it up, and people gravitated towards him, and he loved it. He thrived on it. It made him stronger, and that's what made him special.
He was one of the good ones, gone too soon. Mike Straka is joining us from Fighting Words on HDNet and the book of the same name. And one more thing before I let you go, I'll leave it on a high note. When you get to interview Ben Henderson, can you ask him to kindly stop messing up the lightweight division? Because now we have no idea who the number one contender is.
You're so right. Ben Henderson, really, I've known Jim Miller for a long time. You know, he's local here. He's a New Jersey guy. He's only lost to two guys in his life, Gray Maynard and Frankie Edgar. And Frankie's a champion and Gray's the number one contender. So when Jim Miller was going to fight Ben Henderson, I felt sorry for Ben Henderson.
Me too.
Well, on Sunday night, I felt sorry for Jim. And wow, I will tell you, I will never, ever. And Eric, I'm the first guy who said that WEC guys don't belong in the UFC. That's what I said. And boy, was I wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I always say, you know, look at Brian Stann. He was a champion. It took him 2 years to win a fight in the UFC. He was the WEC light heavyweight champion. It took him 2 years to win one fight. The first fight, he got Kimura by Krzysztof Szynski, who's really a B-level fighter. And, you know, he was the champion of WEC. And I was like, these lightweights have no idea what they're getting into. Well, boy, was I wrong. Don Cerrone and Ben Henderson are phenomenal. And I guarantee you Jose Aldo will go to 155 too, and he'll be phenomenal.
Absolutely. Mike Straka has joined us. Mike, I know it's been a tough week for you, so I hope you get some rest, and you know, we hope to talk to you on better circumstances very soon, my friend.
Thank you, Eric. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.